evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Seth, and I am the janitor for Krushiki Supply Company. Today, we are going to be testing Cold War night vision against the uniforms that were designed to defeat it. What the f*** was that? Anyway, I don't know what that was. But what exactly is a passive or Gen 1 night vision scope, and why were they such a big deal during the Cold War? Well, to answer that, you have to go back to what came before, Gen 0 or active infrared night vision. During World War II, the Germans developed one of the earliest infrared night vision devices, the Zielgerät 1229, literally targeting device model 1229, but also went by the nickname the Vampire. It wasn't the first infrared night optic ever made. The technology had been a thing since the 1930s, but they were too big to be carried and had to be mounted to a vehicle, a ship, or a tripod. But the Vampire was possibly the first rifle-mounted night optic to see combat, allegedly going into action in February of 1945 in Hungary near Lake Balaton, though that part is anecdotal and not very well documented. Now, the Americans were chasing the same idea at the same time, the M-series scopes mounted onto a modified M1 carbine called the T3. Those first saw combat in Okinawa, where the kills were confirmed and documented. Now, all these devices used active infrared, which featured a big IR illuminator lamp mounted on the top of the scope or beneath the rifle. It projects a beam of near-infrared light, kind of like a flashlight, but it's invisible to the naked eye. The beam hits whatever you're looking at and then bounces it back towards the lens. And that's why passive night vision was such a leap forward. Passive night vision doesn't project anything. It takes the small amount of ambient light that already exists out in nature, like the moon, the stars, or city lights. The scope converts that light into electrons, then accelerates them through the tube, and slams them into a phosphor screen at the back. That's where the signature green glow comes from. The trade-off is you need some ambient light to work with. So a clear night with a full moon is going to give you the best results. But if there's an overcast with no moon, then it's not as effective. But the upside was massive. There was no IR floodlight, so you could watch the enemy without them watching you back. Now, the Americans won the passive night vision race with the PVS-2 Starlight scope, a big bulky thing that went into service during the Vietnam War in 1967. Now, the Soviets weren't that far behind. The 1PN34 night vision scope showed up soon after, and began seeing widespread service around the Soviet-Afghan war. But now both sides had a problem. The enemy had night vision too, so they started looking for ways to beat the other guy's optic. And the answer, surprisingly, was just with their clothing. The Soviets developed the KLMK, or the Camouflage Summer Disguise Coverall. It was a one-piece oversuit that you'd put over your regular uniform. Now, the clever part was that it was reversible. One side was green with white digital splotches for daytime concealment. Flip it inside out and you've got a grid pattern for night vision optics. The inner grid was meant to mess with early NATO night vision tubes by breaking the soldier's outline into something that the low-resolution image couldn't resolve. And they were put into service in 1968, just 1 year after the Starlight scope was put into service. Now, the Americans took a little bit longer, and in the 1970s and 80s, they developed the Desert Night Camouflage pattern. It was a two-color grid printed on a parka and trousers that fit over your BDUs. Now, this grid pattern had the same design principle as the KLMK, basically trying to break the soldier's outline into shapes that the first-generation night vision tubes couldn't resolve cleanly. But by the time it actually hit the field, night vision had advanced so much that it was pretty much useless. Gen 2 night vision was just too common at this point. But do these uniforms actually do anything? Well, we're going to find out. Before we start these tests, I want to show you guys what these things sound like. They are incredibly loud. Not incredibly loud, but it's enough to be concerned of the amount of radiation that's going into your eyeballs. So I'm going to flip this on and just put my mic against this so you can see it, or you can hear it rather. So this would probably get a little annoying if, you know, you're on a night patrol, you're on watch, and you have this thing on for a few hours. You'd probably start to go a little cuckoo. Alright, now we are going to listen to the sound of the NSPU, or the 1PN34. Take this one. It's hard to tell where the sound's emanating from. I'm going to kind of hold it in some different spots. I mean, I can hear it. It's got a very different sound. The Starlight's more of a... and this is more of a... So we got... and... So we can see his face. Honestly, I would probably, if I was a Soviet soldier and I was looking at this guy, I would be looking at a big wood line and I would just see a big black blob. He's kind of standing out quite a little bit. You can see he's just kind of a, I don't know, it's not glowing, he's just sort of very dark, and that would definitely set off some alarm bells if I was a Soviet soldier. And I was fighting this guy in the 1980s. Thank God it never got to that point. Nevertheless, pretty crazy to see this in this form. All right. Our test subject is standing down there. And as we can see, he's not really glowing that much. He looks actually pretty good. Go ahead and move around a little bit. Do your little KLMK dance. And yeah, he's doing pretty well. Not glowing. I'd say this is a big thumbs up for the KLMK. They did a good job. Interested to see how the Starlight looks with this one. Not too bad. Alright, so this is the reverse side of the KLMK. This is the one that's actually intended for night optics, and as you can see, it's performing pretty well. It's performing a lot better than the plain side of the KLMK. You can actually see less of the white splotches, and this was filmed on a separate night, so there's more moonlight actually casting down on it. So this is the KLMK under the Starlight scope. It's definitely looking better than the Desert Night camo. The Desert Night camo sort of reminds me of how something looks under a FLIR, under like Black Hot. I can see that, I mean, if he was standing in some foliage right now, he would blend in pretty well. He's moving over. I can get this. Doing some jumping jacks. Honestly, I think the KLMK does so much better under night vision. Well, not ideal. I mean, there's really nothing you can have that's ideal. If you're moving around and you're under night vision, somebody is going to be able to see you. You know, back then, you know, thermal technology was in its infancy. I mean, they didn't have it until, you know, the 70s and 80s. But, I mean, this, you know, I wouldn't say this is a dead giveaway as opposed to the Desert Night camo. Now here's the Starlight scope with the reverse side of the KLMK. Again, the conditions were very, very pleasing. There was a lot of moon coverage this night. This was filmed on a separate night from the rest of the tests, but, I mean, as you can see, it sort of looks better than the plain side of the KLMK. You know, you get a lot less white glow from those little white splotches. One thing to notice here is that this is 10 times better than the NSPU, than the 1PN34. You can kind of clearly see him. He's kind of standing in front of a tree right now, but you can pretty much clearly see him standing there, moving his arms around. He's got the Desert Night camouflage on right now. And again, like with the NSPU, he just sort of glows, he really stands out. You know, if he was standing in a wood line, I feel like I'd see him way easier than the KLMK. The Soviets might have the win on this. Alright, so this is the Czech VZ60 with the IR flood on the RNVGs, and this looks completely different. The other kind of rain camouflage you saw beforehand, I mean, it looks super, super cool. Go ahead and turn around. That looks badass. I mean, before it has sort of the, you know, the iconic East German rain camo style, but when you put it an IR light with night vision, it turns into a completely different pattern. It almost makes you think, like, what if the actual pattern just looked like this? There's it off. You can see. You can kind of just barely see that hidden camouflage pattern. You can't really see it with the old night vision because you don't have that IR floodlight capability. You only have the passive, so you can sort of barely see a version of it, but wow, that looks crazy. Thank you guys very, very, very much for watching this video. We appreciate your continued support. We love testing out all these night vision devices. And if I had to say if there's a winner for this, the NSPU wins in terms of sound. It's a little bit quieter than this thing, but in terms of actual practicality, this thing is far more useful. It gives you a much better sight picture. It's a lot more clear, a lot brighter. This thing is like a Gen 0.5. I don't know what this is. They just kind of made this. It still has its uses. I know some Soviet enthusiasts are going to say that this is better than that, but I'm telling you now, I have both of them right here, and this one is better. In terms of the uniform, the Desert Night Camo did pretty poorly. It just was not glowing, but it sort of stood out more so than the KLMK. The KLMK did blend in a lot better. I think it's because of the green hue. The green hue sort of blends in better with the green of the you get by looking through one of these things. I don't know if... Don't quote me on the science. I'm not a scientist. I don't know this crap. Some of you are going to crap all over me in the comments. That's fine. I want to learn something. Tell me what I don't know. But the KLMK did a lot better than the Desert Night Camo. So I guess it's a tie. This wins and the KLMK wins. So everyone wins in the end. What the f was that? What is that? You heard it again. What was that? Anyway, guys, go to Kushiki.com and go buy yourself some surplus.
Thank you.